Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast, it's a bill that could be a boon to the territory, but at the cost of higher taxes on a particular commodity. The cigar bill went before the Senate Committee on Rules and Judiciary on Tuesday, and in spite of concerns from lawmakers, it got a nod of approval and is now headed to the full Senate body. News 2's April Knight has details.
They say it's a bill that could get the Virgin Islands on board the fast-growing global cigar industry, and it took another step forward at the Senate on Tuesday. The Senate Committee on Rules and Judiciary approved Bill number 31-0115, sponsored by Senator Jean Ford. It would allow the establishment of a cigar factory in the territory and allow smoking in such establishments.
We are looking at the cigar bill as creating a cigar factory industry and thereby creating a revenue generator for the Virgin Islands.
An amendment by Senator Ford would also raise the excise tax on cigars from 20 to 25%, revenues from which would go directly to the general fund, according to BIR Director Marvin Pickering. Some senators stressed the need to ensure protections for those outside cigar establishments who would not want to partake in the activity.
I've been around where people light up these cigars, and I just had to clear the entire area, because for me to inhale that, I mean, they're contaminating the airspace that I'm in.
Health concerns regarding cigar smoke wafting in public spaces were also addressed in the amendment.
So calls for proper ventilation of the establishment. The amendment also provides for proper signage to be posted outside as well as inside, indicating that it's adult atmosphere and that smoking is bad for your health and so forth.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Senators Jean Ford, Novell Francis, Justin Harrigan, and Kenneth Gittens voted yes on the cigar bill. Senator Jeanette Millen-Young abstained, while Senators Neville James and Nellie O'Reilly were absent. Well, the Committee on Rules and Judiciary, chaired by Senator Gittens, held confirmation hearings also for the nominations of Raymond Williams and David Hughes, who both were nominated to serve on the Public Services Commission, the PSC. The committee voted in favor of both nominees and sent their names to the full body for further consideration. The second hearing this week will be held 9:30 a.m. Thursday in the Earl B. Otley Legislative Chambers on St. Thomas, where senators will consider more nominees and bills, as Stacey A. Bourne has been nominated to serve as the member of the Board of Architects, Engineers, and Land Surveyors, and Vince Danette has been tapped to serve as a member of the PSC. After a couple of months of fears that the territory's school lunch program might run out of money by March, the situation could be resolved if government officials act soon. At a Senate hearing on Monday, the Office of Management and Budget detailed how much in additional appropriations the Education Department should receive. News 2's April Knight has details.
The Department of Education could be getting some much-needed relief soon after officials testified before lawmakers on Monday. Before the Senate Committee on Education and Workforce Development, education officials came out in force to explain how and why the territory is lacking some $3.16 million to carry the school lunch program through the summer. That number was initially $4.6 million. The budget shortfall for the school lunch program came to light during a January meeting, prompting an inquiry by lawmakers. The Office of Management and Budget, on behalf of the administration, has agreed to give the Education Department some $7.2 million, a large chunk of which would go toward the school lunch program, and the rest. Well, here's the breakdown. Some $600,000 would support the department's literacy program. Also getting a large fraction of that money, some $3.4 million, is the department's substitute teacher pool.
The substitute pool inadvertently was not funded, and we have been using vacancy savings to fund the substitute teachers pool. By the restoration of the funding for the substitute teachers pool, it would allow us to move towards filling more of our critical vacancies.
And since compliance with federal guidelines affects the education system's operations, OMB Director Nellen Bowery urged everyone to consider the consequences of not playing by federal rules.
Failure to comply with federal requirements may lead to disallowance of federal reimbursements, thereby putting additional pressure on local funding.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
Along with Puerto Rico, the VI Department of Education is also working on getting higher subsidies from the federal government. Among the pieces of legislation recently submitted by Governor Mapp to the Senate is a measure that will allow the territory to fully participate in the Intergovernmental Personnel Act Mobility Program, or IPA. That program allows for employees from the federal government to work in local or state agencies for up to 2 years, with an option to extend their tenure for 2 more. The positions are often those that require a specialized skill. According to the governor, it would help the local government recruit expert assistants and temporarily cover hard-to-fill positions. Well, Senator Kenneth Gittens on Friday said he was pleased with the Casino Control Commission's nod of approval on the application for class casino operation in the Caravel Hotel in Christiansted. He said he looks at the approval as a step in the right direction to boost economic growth on the island of St. Croix, and specifically in and around the town of Christiansted. He said he was impressed that the company has also started a tourism campaign promoting the island of St. Croix by having their mainland customers enter into a raffle to win a 3-day trip to St. Croix with $500 spending cash. President's Day weekend on St. Croix has always been filled with many activities for all Virgin Islanders and visitors to enjoy. The agricultural and food fair, food and arts and crafts fair, and the local horse racing are the highlighted events during the holiday weekend, but a contractual feud between the Flamboyant Horsemen Association and Casino Corporation is putting a halt on horse racing on St. Croix. Stephanie Brown has more.
Senate President Neville James expressed in a press release that he was disappointed over the lack of holiday weekend horse races this President's Day weekend. But rumbling of horse racing coming to a halt on St. Croix was heard around this year's Christmas races at the Randall Doc James racetrack on St. Croix.
The major issues you have in the racing industry abroad is you have gaming companies tend to cross over to operate racetracks. And some of these gaming companies have no experience of ever operating a racetrack.
Trasco is a subsidiary of Treasure Bay Corporation, which is a small gambling and gaming corporation with several casinos in Biloxi, Mississippi, Aruba, St. Croix, St. Lucia, and Bonaire.
Trasco never had no prior racetrack management capability or experience, never before they began to operate Flamboyant Park as a racetrack. And I think the reason why they were had such of invested interest in operating Flamboyant Park because, again, of gaming, the ability to have slot machines at the racetrack.
The horse racing industry is an equestrian sport which generates a worldwide market worth around $115 billion a year, and Governor Kenneth E. Mapp unveiled plans for the equine sport in the recent State of the Territory speech.
I will be sending a package to this body soon to reposition horse racing in the territory as the centerpiece of sports tourism in this region.
Stephanie Brown, News 2.
With the arbitration between the Flamboyant Horsemen Association and Traxco up in the air, horse racing in the territory may dwindle for a while until legislation and the governor's sport tourism plans lay a clearer path for the industry on St. Croix. Monday, February 8, 2016 at roughly 8:31 p.m. in crime reports, the 911 emergency call center received a report of a home invasion in a state Zion farm. The 61-year-old homeowner told police he was walking to his vehicle when he was accosted by 3 unknown masked men. 2 of the suspects, armed with handguns, demanded money, and after telling them he had none, one struck him several times with the butt of a gun and then stuck the weapon in his mouth. The suspects took the victim's keys, wallet, mobile phone, and his 2001 white Chevy S10 pickup truck CDS 610. And an all-points bulletin was placed on the vehicle. You can contact 911, Crime Stoppers, or the Chief of Police if you have any information that can help. Turn our attention to the mainland. New Hampshire takes its first in the nation primary status seriously, and voters in 3 small-town Harts location, Millsfleet and Dixville Notch, take pride in being the first in the first. They turn out to vote just after the clock strikes 12. Kim Hotsport has more.
The first votes in New Hampshire's first in the nation primary were tallied just after midnight.
Let's list the results.
Only 9 votes were cast in tiny Dixville Notch. John Kasich won among Republicans, 3 votes to Donald Trump's 2. For the Democrats, Bernie Sanders got 4 votes, while Hillary Clinton got none. Experts say Dixville Notch has a good record for predicting Republican Party nominees.
Since 1968, they've not necessarily predicted the Republican, who's going to win the Republican primary in New Hampshire, but Dixville Notch has predicted who the ultimate nominee is.
Right. Kasich won again at the town of Harts location with 5 votes. Trump got 4 and Chris Christie 2. Sanders won the Democratic contest with 12 votes to Clinton's 7. And in the town of Millsfield, Ted Cruz won the Republican ballot with 9 votes. Clinton won that contest for Democrats, receiving 2 votes to Sanders' 1. Even if 100% of voters turn out, the towns can't make a difference in the overall tally. The early balloting has more symbolic importance.
I think it's more of a celebration of democracy in New Hampshire. It shows that people in New Hampshire take this very seriously.
These small town results do offer one positive for winning candidates. For most of the day, they're ahead in the only officially tallied primary results. I'm Kim Hutcherson reporting.
Keeping our eye on the economy, here's a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P all down. The Dow 12, NASDAQ 14, S&P 500 down at 1. Coming up on News 2, time for a Black History quiz. The Miss America competition has been around since 1921, but do you know how many years later the first Black Miss America was crowned? Welcome back. Marvin Pickering, the director of the Virgin Islands Bureau of Internal Revenue, and Dr. Dion Gills, chair of accounting and finance of UVI, they announced the continued partnership that allows accounting students of UVI to help taxpayers with the filing of their 2015 income tax returns. This is a free service offered to taxpayers who are filing simple tax returns with the Bureau. The Volunteer Taxpayer Assistance Program will start on all 3 islands on Saturday, February 20th, and will run every Saturday until April 9th, 2016, with the exception of Saturday, March 26th at the offices. They will be completing forms 1040EZ and 1040A only. Time for our Black History quiz. The Miss America competition has been around since 1921. But do you know how many years later the first Black Miss America was crowned? 63 years later. In 1984, Vanessa Williams became the first Black woman to be crowned Miss America. A couple months into her reign, controversial photos of her surfaced, so she was forced to resign. Her first runner-up, Suzette Charles, who is also African-American, assumed her title. Since then, there have been 5 other Black Miss Americas: Debbie Turner in 1990, Marjorie Vincent in 1991, Kimberly Aiken in 1994, Erica Harold in 2002, and Erica Dunlap in 2003. Well, on a sad note, friends, family, and residents of St. Thomas are saddened to learn of her passing. Liston and Diane Foy announced the passing of their daughter, St. Thomas resident Nyla Renee Foy, on February 4th, 2016, after a long battle with breast cancer. She was well known. Many remember her as a dental hygienist in the community and an Air Force veteran. She leaves behind her children, Kiana, age 20, and Kaylin, age 6, her sister, Ina Misson, and other relatives too numerous to mention. Our condolences to the Foy family from myself and the entire TV2 staff. President Barack Obama has requested Congress to provide $1.8 billion in emergency funding to fight the Zika virus and increase mosquito control programs. Vaccinations for the Zika virus is currently being tested, but the best defense against the Zika virus is to practice prevention. However, if you are experiencing any symptoms related to the Zika, you should contact a physician.
Prevent the potential spread of it. You should avoid areas that are known to attract the mosquitoes, such as areas that collect water. Should you have the Zika virus, the treatment is actually to stay hydrated, take Tylenol for the fever should you get it, and just rest.
During this month-long observance, National Health Observance event, thousands of dedicated dental professionals, healthcare providers promote the benefits of good oral health to children and adults. In continuation of bringing awareness to National Children's Dental Health Month, the Frederiksted Health Clinic visited the Ricardo Richards Elementary School today on St. Croix. Again, this year's campaign slogan is Sugar Wars, which is geared towards the fight against plaque and germs.
National Children's Dental Health Month, and today we went over proper brushing and flossing techniques, as well as healthy diets to help prevent cavities and things like that. We also did interactive activities with the children as well, as far as crossword puzzles and questionnaires, things like that.
So what is the best age to begin those dental visits? Well, we asked the experts. Here's more.
As soon as the teeth come in, even though, you're not going to have a 2-year-old sit there and have you do a full set of x-rays on them. You're not going to do that. But you get them experience to the dentist. We see kids here as young as 2. Some dentist starts at 3. We have kids here at 2 or 3. And I explain to mom and dad, hey, you're going to bring them in for the experience. It's a positive experience. Don't wait for something to hurt to bring them in, because the first time I see a child and they're crying and screaming, I'm trying to open their mouth, that's a negative experience. So you bring them in for their regular cleanings and checkups, and you give them fluoride. We don't have fluoride on our water here. So it's good for them to come in twice a year to get the fluoride. Fluoride helps strengthen the teeth, help prevent decay, and then they get a positive experience.
Well, about 35 spelling bee champions from public, private, and parochial schools across the territory are primed to compete in the Virgin Islands Department of Education's Spelling Bees, scheduled for Friday, February 12th, beginning at 9 a.m. in both school districts. In the St. Thomas-St. John district, 18 students will vie for their district Intermediate Spelling Bee Championship at the BCB Middle School Auditorium. The St. Croix District 43rd Spelling Bee will be hosted at the Arthur Richards Junior High School for 17 top spellers. 11 7th grade students in the Advancement via Individual Determination program, the AVID program, at Arthur Richards Junior High School examined the educational opportunities offered at UVI St. Croix's Albert Sheen campus during a tour of the HBCU on Tuesday. AVID targets students who display the potential to be successful in college and may be first-generation college students who likely would require academic and emotional support to be successful. Students were introduced to various departments on the UVI campus. The 14th annual Mardi Gras Parade filled the streets along Cane Bay Beach in St. Croix on Saturday, sponsored by Crew de Croix. This year's theme was Disco Fever, and parade participants and parade viewers were not disappointed. The route from Sylvie's to Cane Bay Beach was filled with colorful costumes, guitars on fire, 70s dance routines, and a guest performance by the village people. When all was said and done, it was definitely a disco inferno. Meanwhile, the good times are rolling in New Orleans. The city hosted its annual Mardi Gras festivities today. Thousands have lined the streets for the parade that will continue well into the night. Revelers will eat, drink, dance, and catch the traditional beads. Mardi Gras, also known as Shrove Tuesday or Fat Tuesday in English, refers to events of the carnival celebrations beginning on or after the Christian feasts of the Epiphany and culminating on the day before Ash Wednesday. In New Orleans, they call Carnival the greatest free show on earth. A 3-week season of parades full of floats, high school marching bands, dance troupes, and walking clubs. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.